are not safe in child protective services, and they won't give them back to their loving families because they're making money.
This is a legal system that you're going into. And if you don't know the rules, you will be chewed up and spit out.
If I could say anything to a mother who just got their children detained, you're in a crisis. Yeah. Life feels like it's over. The most important thing is regaining custody of your children.
The child welfare system at its core is designed to protect children who need protection, okay? And that's key, is who need protection.
So social workers, out of fear, will remove more children rather than only remove those children that truly need to be removed.
It's okay. It's okay.
This isn't someone stole your car. Someone broke into your house. This someone took your child, your flesh and blood.
It doesn't say on this order that it was not proven. It says untrue. True. I immediately knew that, okay, well, this ain't over.
Were there signs there? Were there no signs? Did I miss them? Did I catch them? At this point, I honestly don't know.
Families only get a finite amount of time to reunify.
I came into this field to help families, not destroy them.
The difference between the criminal system and the child welfare system is substantial. You have more rights as a criminal than you do as a parent.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Georgette Truin. I am the co-host for Relatives Fight CPS, and I also work for the law office of Vincent W. Davis. Every time I watch this video that we aired before the show, it just makes me want to cry inside because it's so much, you can feel the pain of the mothers and the grandmothers and the aunts and the uncles and the fathers who are trying to fight for their children. On my shows, I typically talk about real life stories and share them with you guys. And today, we had a grandmother and a grandfather that called me. And it took me about an hour and 45 minutes to talk to them because they were crying nonstop, the grandmother especially. And it was very hard for me to hear their tears and their heartfelt pain because the children didn't want to go with Child Protective Services. The grandmother lost her daughter in a car accident. It was a hit and run. And she cared for the grandchild when her daughter died last month. Then Child Protective Services went to the grandmother's house. She lives in a nice home, what have you, her and her husband, and stole the baby from her, the child from her. The child is 9 years old. She was screaming, crying. She wanted her mom. And her mom is gone, and she didn't want to leave her grandma because that's all she knows, and she doesn't want to leave grandpa because that's all she knows. The grandmother said that one of the neighbors took a video of the child screaming and didn't want to go. And the social worker, she was laughing the whole entire time. And I saw the video. You know, they sent me the video on my phone, and I right before the show, I was watching the video. And the little girl She was in so much pain. She was suffering and she didn't want to go. And she just kept saying, I don't want to leave Grandma. The worker didn't tell them why they were there to begin with, nor did they have a court order. But that child's pain, watching the video, was so intense. I don't mean to cry. It was very intense, and I can't believe, or I shouldn't say I can't believe, but the way they traumatize children is so bad. And the grandmother was crying and pleading on the floor to please not take her grandchild. And they still don't know why. They have no idea. All I know is the granddaughter was in a car accident. It was a hit and run, and they're trying to look for the person that hit her. There's like an investigation going, and her daughter was never in trouble with the law. She's a registered nurse, and she was just going to work, and she worked the night shift, so she was driving to work when this happened. And but just seeing the child holding onto the wall, social worker grabbing her from the shirt and pulling her, it was the most horrifying video I have seen so far. And it was really bad. But it's stuff like this, it's shit like this that, like I mentioned in all my shows, it sickens me, because the law states children are to be with their family members. You don't just steal a child from a family member without a court order, without a valid cause. And she just lost her daughter, for the love of God. That child lost her mother, lost her grandmother, lost her grandfather, her sibling, her uncles, everybody, and her mother in 1 week. And it is very, very bad that they would do this to children. And the way the worker was grabbing the child, there was a police officer there. It was so sad. And I can see in the video the cop looking at her, kind of like, what are you doing? I don't think that they're allowed to touch kids like that. I don't think so. But again, we need to make a change. And Mr. Davis has mentioned it several times that we need to vote these judges out. This is horrible. We need to defund CPS. We need to defund this demonic agency that all they do is hurt families. That's all they do. And I honestly think they do that for fun, because the worker was literally laughing in the video. This shit is real, man. They are disgusting. I can't even call them human beings. They're not. They're not human. You can't be human and hurt a child. You can't. You have to literally be dark inside to hurt a child. So towards the end of the conversation with the grandparents, one of the child's uncle walked in because he found out what happened, and he took the phone from his mom and he said, let me just explain what I think happened, why the social workers got involved. And he said that his dad's neighbor reported to the social workers after they had learned about her daughter's death that the parents are too old to care for her and that they should come and remove her. Now that neighbor told another neighbor who got really angry, and then they notified the son, who is the uncle of the child, who is the mother's brother, and told him what happened. So with that being said, they literally went by the neighbor's allegation that the grandparents can't take care of the child, right? That's all they went by. And I asked him, how old are your parents? And he said they're in their 60s, but they're in good shape. They walk every day, they work out. He said they have more energy than I do. He said, I'm exhausted by 9 o'clock. He said, my parents are like, they're always active. And he said they don't even look 60. They're healthy. There's nothing going on with them. They're financially stable, all that. But they went and took a child just like that. The child lost her father before to cancer, and her mother died in a car accident. So it's kind of like she lost her father a year ago, then her mom dies, and then she lost everybody. It has to be the hardest thing I had to look at today. It's hard to watch that video. Very hard. The social worker is from Los Angeles, California. I have her name and I have her office location. And what I want to say to the government, to the federal level, state level, Congress, president, vice president, you guys are all scumbags, all of you. Because not one of you is willing to stand up to what is right and to stop this kid snatchers, defunding CPS, hold them accountable for what they do. This shit is it really gets to me when I see kids in pain. It's like you're piercing my heart. Like literally, if I hear a child crying, my heart is. It's like I can't process. It's like I want to do everything possible to help that child. And like I said in my show earlier, I wish I was a zillionaire or a billionaire where I can just put that money into a good cause and hire the best attorneys to fight parents' cases against CPS. I would literally spend my last penny just to fight them. Unfortunately, not a lot of parents can afford hiring the best attorney to fight their case. That grandmother, she's like, she can't believe it. She felt like she was in a twilight zone. If the neighbor didn't take a video of the interaction between the social worker and the child, and how the child was screaming and holding onto the wall, and they're grabbing her from her shirt and pulling her, it was so crucial that the way she did that to her, and the cop was just standing there, and like kind of like he was kind of like paralyzed. I just see an image of a badge and a gun and a uniform. It's disgusting. It's really, really disgusting. I didn't even know if I wanted to do the show after that. It was like 7:01, and I called the show producer. I said, you know what? I was just talking to a client, and I just went on. And I didn't know how I was going to start the show. I'm being honest with you guys. I didn't know how to even begin. These social workers are so dark that I believe that they get a thrill out of pain. I really do. Because the laughter in her face while the child was crying and pulling away from her is worth jail time. It's worth lifetime in jail. And they're not being held accountable. No. One worker is held accountable for their actions. I am convinced that Monterey Park Courthouse is so corrupt on all levels, from judges, from court-appointed attorneys, from even the clerks, the guardian ad litem, social workers, even district attorneys. They're all scumbags. So Congress, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing? The federal level knows that there's corruption in CPS. They know. And they're not doing anything about it. I mean, Mr. Davis says vote them out, vote judges out. That's fine, vote them out. But judges are attorneys in black robes, and I keep saying that. And once they become judges, they have this black robe fever. And they give all decisions to CPS. CPS makes all the decisions. If CPS lies in a report, the judges, they go along with it. If a social worker is caught on the stand lying, she gets promoted. What kind of bullshit is this? What kind of bullshit is this? You lie, you get promotion. It's kind of like a thief, right? Being caught stealing, you'll go to jail. But if a social worker lies, stealing children, she gets promoted. Weird, right? There was a video that I shared on my shows one time where it shows a social worker attorney, a CPS attorney, was talking to 3 federal judges, convincing them how it's okay for social workers to lie to steal children. I watch that video every day. And it's a real video, real life courtroom, everything. The federal judge, one of the federal judges, could not believe that she actually was trying to defend and trying to convince that it's okay to lie to steal children. That's what they do. They lie constantly. They lie on paperwork. They lie against grandparents. They lie against aunts and uncles. They lie. They lie against mothers and fathers who are innocent. But yet, you send the children to the abuser. You send the children to the abuser party. How everything, their behavior, their action is nothing but demonic. Everything they do is maliciously done. And all the parents that can't afford to hire an attorney, and all the grandparents and the uncles and the aunts who are trying to fight to have these children placed with them, they're fighting a battle on their own because they can't afford an attorney. And you can't expect attorneys to work for free because they provide the free attorneys who don't do shit on anybody's case, which they are the court pretenders, because they know the parents cannot have an attorney to fight their case. So they have to stick with the piece of shit court pretender. And they know this. Christina said, my grandchildren were kidnapped. We found them, and CPS stepped in due to the fact that the kidnappers had an open case, and now CPS has legally kidnapped them. It's been 19 months. Yeah. They lied in all of my court cases and paperwork. Christina, this is what they do. This is what they do. They lie so much that it makes me sick. Like, I'm serious, you guys. Like, all day long, I listen to stories. I hear tears. My job is mental job. It's like it's mentally draining because everybody I speak with, they're innocent. They're literally innocent. I see videos. I see pictures. Like, for example, one of the people I spoke with today, she's an aunt. One of the kids, her nephew, was playing and he hit the top of his head. Like, the cabinet was open and he was bending down to pick up something, and then when he was going up, he hit the top of his head. So as an aunt, she was worried. She's like, oh man, he was dizzy and I just wanted to make sure everything is okay. She took him to the hospital, children's hospital in Los Angeles, and they notified CPS immediately. Instead of taking the child, if they suspect abuse, instead of taking the child to the mother, they literally removed the child from the aunt, the mother, and the father, and they said that his mother failed to protect. I used to go stay at my aunt's house when I was a child. I hurt myself. Who doesn't? What child doesn't, right? That doesn't mean my mother is a bad mom or my dad was a bad dad or my aunt is a bad aunt. Accidents do happen. But if the aunt was abuser to the child, she would not be worried about the child to take him to the hospital. That's the point I'm trying to make. An abuser would not take the child to the hospital. An abuser would hide the scars. An abuser would teach their child to wear long sleeve shirts in the summer. That's what an abuser would do. But an abuser would not take the child to the hospital. So the aunt lost the child, the mom lost the child, and the father lost the child. And the father was at work, and the mother was at work. And the aunt was the one taking care of the child while the parents are working since birth. So all of a sudden, she's not a good aunt, father is not a good father, mom is not a good mom, no priors, no drugs, nothing. Nothing. Even the aunt, no priors, no drugs, no nothing. Why would you take the child? Because the nurse, right, suspects abuse. Why? Because she suspects it. She assumes it. The child didn't say that my aunt beat me. The child said exactly what happened. He hit his head on the top of the counter, the cabinet. That's it. I've done that many times, and I'm not a child. Sometimes I leave it open and I bend down, pick up something, and I get up. I'm like, it happens. I'm sure it happened to all of you at one point. But the way they would steal children from siblings, from family members, from parents, they literally create their own cause, right? that hospital is going to get funding for reporting it to CPS. Schools get funding for reporting it to CPS. Therapist gets funding for reporting it to CPS. The police gets funding for reporting it to CPS. So basically, everybody gets some kind of funding. And here we are, the parents, pay taxes, we pay their salary, we bust our butt to take care of our kids and to be good members of society. And they come after our children because we don't have $1 million in our account, because we don't have, hundreds and thousands of dollars in our accounts, and because we work. And the reason they do that is because we work paycheck to paycheck. Christina said we need to make a huge scene to get someone attention and change these laws. Absolutely, we do. Absolutely, we do. They are, Christina, they're pathetic idiots. They're so pathetic and stupid. And we all need to stand together. We all need to reunite together. Men, women, grandparents, aunts, uncles, siblings, older siblings. We need to come together. But it has to be united. It has to be all over the United States. We need to make our voices heard all over. We need to be heard. Because when a social worker, when a judge refuses to see evidence of a social worker's conduct against a parent or child, there's something definitely not right. When a social worker refuses to be recorded, something is not right. Only a criminal doesn't want to get caught. Even with evidence, it's still the judge doesn't want to hear it. The judges don't want to see evidence against CPS. There is definitely something wrong with that. And when a social worker gets promoted after she lies to a judge, there's something definitely wrong with that. That is why social workers become social workers. Because they have immunity, they have job stability. They know whatever they do, they're not going to get fired. But yet we pay for their salaries. Isn't that sad? Yeah, we pay for them. Christina said, it's sickening. Indiana is the highest on the list of children needing foster homes. Begging for foster parents, saying even if your past isn't perfect. How sad is that, Christina? Even if your past is not perfect to a foster parent, right? They're begging for foster parent even if their past is not perfect, but yet they tell a grandmother or grandfather that have a record, a misdemeanor record from 35 years ago, they can't have placement of their grandkids. Yeah. But they're begging for foster parents in Indiana, even if they have a bad record. That is so effed up. They would rather have the children in a foster home than keep the child with a family member because of a 35-year-old record. But yet they have attorneys in Monterey Park who have records, and they're still a juvenile dependency attorneys. I wish I could mention the names. I know a few with a record, and it's public record, and they're still attorneys. Because what juvenile does is they pick up scumbags. They pick up assholes to be attorneys with a record. But yet they steal children from parents based on just allegations. They're more lenient with a foster parent than the actual parent. A foster parents can have 11 reports of abuse against them, and the social worker will not do shit about it. But the parent will have one from a neighbor or an ex-spouse or an ex-mother-in-law, and all of a sudden, the mother has come of the earth. Even if the mother is mother of the year at her kid's school, it doesn't matter. They will take kids from good parents, but they don't help the kids that are really being abused. And come to think about it, CPS is the most abusive entity on the face of the earth. They literally are child traffickers all over. And you better not let me see a social worker in front of me again. Because I would literally let her know who she is and what she is within seconds. Because of the way they behave. They're bullies. They bully. And they love it. They love it. Their demonic action and ways are the reason the children are devastated. The children are traumatized. It's not because of the parents. The children are traumatized because of the social workers. The children are traumatized because our government allows it. The children are traumatized is because the state allows it. Government level, Congress, president, vice president, and nobody wants to put a stop to it. No one. We have children dying in foster home. We have children dying with abusers, the same abusers the mother warned about. We have children who are corrupt mentally by the abuser. And it's okay in the eyes of a social worker, right? But yet the mother who's done nothing is the one that's getting punished. Oftentimes they say domestic violence. All the cases I get is due to domestic violence. Not all, but most of the cases I get is domestic violence. If the mother calls for help, right, then she failed to protect. If the mother doesn't call for help, then she failed to protect. So what the F is it exactly? Which one is it? Do you want the mother to call for help, or do you want the mother not to call for help? So the mother is guilty regardless. The aunt is guilty regardless. The grandmother is guilty regardless. Grandfathers are guilty regardless. Fathers are guilty regardless. If they're great parents, they're guilty. We all need to reunite. You know, my mom and dad used to say this: a family that prays together stays together. And I don't know what belief system all of you guys have, but I will speak with my belief system. When we pray together and we unite together, we're more stronger and more powerful. When we alienate each other from one another, right, we're weaker. So united stronger, divided weaker. You guys have to understand that we need to protest everywhere in the United States of America against the Department of Child Services. We need to protest. We need to be heard. We need to vote. Mr. Davis says vote. Vote them out. Vote judges out. Vote them out. We need to defund CPS. This shit is real. I wish to God, like I said, that wow, I wish I can have the ability to help each and every mother and father and grandfather and aunts and uncles get the children back. Financially, I wish I had that. Christina said, "I've got a big mouth, but it's professional. Let's do this." All right, Christina. I don't know what you mean by that, Margaret. My daughter has been accused by a girl every week since September of abusing her daughter. We need to make a huge scene to get someone's attention and change these laws. Absolutely, Christina. They make X amount of money off each child that they remove from homes. That is correct. They make a lot of money for every child removed from the home. They make more money when they get the child adopted, and every minute of the child being in the custody of the state, county, they get funding for that child. So while all you guys are doing your classes and you're drug testing every day, they actually expect you to keep a job. And if the job doesn't work with you, with the hours you have to, get away from the job because you have to do these classes every day for God knows how many months. First they tell you 3 months, then they tell you 6 months, then they tell you 12 months. It's ridiculous. For what? It's so ridiculous. And then when they lose their jobs, then they say, oh, you can't keep a job. No, you mother F's. They can keep a job. You're the reason why they can't keep a job. Amen to that, John. Today's just been a really weird day with all this. Like I said earlier, that video really got me. We need to be able to try to, well, I'm hoping that we can get attorneys everywhere in the United States that is willing to stand up to the system. I tried to call a couple of attorneys in Minneapolis. I tried to get them to go on my show, but they're afraid to go against the state. And they told me it would be a conflict of interest. And I asked one of them, boldly, I said, is it true that, you guys don't want to go against the state because you want to be judges one day? So he didn't even respond to me. All he did was he cleared his voice, his throat, and he said, well, it depends on the person, on the attorney. I said, so you tell me, why can't you go against the state if you're a juvenile dependency attorney? He said, well, I do family law and juvenile. He's the owner of the firm. I said, okay, great. But why can't you go against the state and help these mothers in your state to fight against CPS and get their children back? Oh, I have an appointment. I got to go. He didn't even answer my questions. What I am trying to do is I'm trying to find attorneys in all the states that's local. So out-of-state people can find a juvenile dependency attorney, because all of the out-of-state calls that I get from grandparents, aunts, uncles, mothers, fathers, is that the attorneys at that state doesn't want to help them. And they keep hearing it's a conflict of interest. That's all they keep hearing. And I haven't been successful yet. I'm trying, but I haven't. There's a lot of juvenile dependency attorneys in California, Los Angeles, San Bernardino, but some of them don't want to fight the state either. And again, they come up with conflict of interest. And if it's like, I wish somebody would explain to me a conflict of interest when an attorney becomes an attorney as a juvenile attorney or family law attorney or criminal attorney, and then they tell you it's a conflict of interest, or they tell you they can't help you, then why are you an attorney? What is your purpose? Did you become an attorney so you can wear your Louis Vuitton bag and Louis Vuitton purse? Belt or a tie? Is that why you became an attorney, or did you actually become an attorney to help people? So how are you going to choose, right? When you see victims in front of you and you say, I can't help you because it's a conflict of interest. The only conflict of interest they have is that they want to be judges one day and they don't want to go against the system. I will contact you, Christina, I promise. And also, I believe Grace put my contact information on the page as well. So you can always text me at my number, Christina, your name, and I will save you to my phone. Amen to that, John. He said, wish there were more lawyers like Vincent W. Davis and Isaac Wright Jr., people who aren't afraid to stand up to corruption. That is so right. And oh my God, that is perfectly said. A lot of attorneys, like I said, John, they are scared. They're cowards. They really are cowards. They're cowards. And again, they want to be judges, and that's why they're cowards. They're scared. They're scared. And that's why we have a corrupt states and counties. They're corrupt everywhere. Sheena said, in Canada and the states close when it comes to the law. The rules or these counties completely different. I can't find anything like this in Canada where I am right now. I'm not sure what you mean you can't find anything like this in Canada where you are right now, because CPS is in Canada. They actually have CPS there. I'm not sure what you mean by that, babe. Why don't you go ahead and gonna write some more so I can understand what you mean. Arsley said the video on Ruby Alvarado was on my Facebook. It's a blurry video so people can listen to it. You guys, I just want to, again, emphasize to you that it's very important doing an investigation to contact an attorney. Very important. And I said that on my previous show. A lot of people think because they're good parents that they're untouchable, that they can, talk to social workers however they want and they will get away with it because they're the parents. You have to understand, when a social worker retaliates, they do it harder and stronger. And don't use force or verbally attack them or think you're superior over them. Because even though the social worker is 21-year-old piece of shit, that 21-year-old piece of shit will make your life hell. That's why it's very important for you guys not to speak to the social workers. During an investigation, don't speak to social workers at all. So, with all that being said, I want to read something to you guys that is, for the ones that haven't seen my show today, it is actually a California legislative information. A lot of social workers say don't record them, you're not allowed to record them, you're not allowed to video record them or audio record them. So I want to read this to you guys. In section 1 states, a parent or a legal guardian may make a video or an audio recording of his or her interview or interaction with a county child protective services social worker who is investigating allegations of parental abuse or neglect. The legislator finds and declares that nothing in existing law prevents a parent or a legal guardian from making a video or audio recording of his or her interview or interactions with a custody child protective services social worker. A county child protective services social worker participation in an investigation of parental abuse or neglect shall be deemed consent to video or audio recording pursuant to subdivision A. A county child protective services social worker assigned to a role performing duties that includes assuming the custody of child or conducting interviews of a child or his or her parent in order to investigate allegations of parental abuse or neglect shall provide notification to a parent or a legal guardian undergoing investigations of parental abuse or neglect in writing that the parent or legal guardian may make a video or audio recording of his or her interview or interaction with a county child protective services social worker. A copy of the written notification shall be signed by the parents or legal guardian and returned to the County Child Protective Services social worker to acknowledge the receipt of the written notification. Section 2. If the Commission on State Mandates determines that this act contains cost mandated by the state, reimbursement to local agencies and school districts for those costs shall be made pursuant to Part 7, commencing with Section 17,500 of Division 4 of Title 2 of the Government Codes. This is true. Social workers do not like to be recorded. They don't like to say that you are allowed to record them because they don't want to get caught. Had the neighbor, like when I mentioned to you earlier of the show about the granddaughter that was crying, had the neighbor of the grandmother didn't record the scene, they would tell the grandmother she's a liar. That's not what happened. But even with evidence, they still say she's a liar because they don't want to admit the evidence in court. That's what the court pretender should do, but he won't do it. They literally tell parents, we're not going to submit evidence. We're not going to do this. We're not going to do that. Because at the end of the day, judges are stupid. Why? Because they see the evidence. They see it on paper. They hear it. But yet still believe a lie. And the lie is mostly the social worker. Whatever the social worker writes down in the report is the truth in front of the judge. Even with evidence attached to declarations, is the truth to them. And the evidence are considered lies. It for a normal person like you and I, it messes with our psyche because a normal person, doesn't think like that. So they corrupt the whole identity of a parent. They literally use them and abuse them and harass them and bully them and constantly to the point where they can't keep a job, they can't keep a career going. They're constantly thinking about their kids. When they hear the word mommy, they cry. It's like ongoing. It's so sad. It's sad. Sheena said, I have followed Vince Davis for a year now, but I'm in Canada and need to know if our rules are the same as the States. I don't know, babe. I don't know if the rules in Canada is the same. I have no clue. The only one that will know that is Mr. Davis. I have a lot of people from Canada call me. A lot. And also, a lot of them can't afford Mr. Davis's retainer. I mean, people don't understand that when you're fighting state and county, or you're fighting state, for your children, it's not just a fight. It's not like a 1 or 2 day fight. This is an ongoing fight. And without strategy to win your children back, the attorney have to understand the strategy to win your children back. It's not about who's right and who's wrong. It's about the strategy that proves you right, but without saying you're right and you're innocent. So the strategy that Mr. Davis explained it to me is a little bit harder for me to understand. He tried it one time, but his mind is brilliant. And I'm not saying that because I work for him. I'm saying that because he is brilliant. He is. And oftentimes, people go by what they hear rather than what they know about Mr. Davis. Mr. Davis is amazing and on so many levels. It's like he knows federal codes like the back of his hand. He understands the strategy to win a case. He tries to get attorneys on his shows to speak up and to include in the fight against CPS. But not every attorney is willing to come forward. He's a great attorney, Mr. Davis. Again, if you want to speak with Mr. Davis, you can text me at the number that the show producer Grace posted. Just text me only, please, your first name and your last name, and I will call you back. Just wait for my call back, because usually people usually call me right away, and I can't answer the call. I'm on calls all day long from 6 in the morning until 10:30 at night. And sometimes I call people late, and some of them, like, why are you calling me so late? But that's the only time I have, because I'm constantly calling people. And the amount of calls that we get is so intense that 8 hours a day is not going to be enough. So I try to get to everybody I can. I try. Amy said, do you know about teens who run away? Adult women moves teen out without mom knowing. Months before teen moved out, mom had told the adult woman to stay away from the daughter. Teen was babysitting for this adult woman. I don't know what you mean by that, Amy. Amy, just text me, baby, to call you, okay? So Jim said Canada falls under the UN Convention of the Child, but the United States never ratified the international laws. Christina, I love your messages, baby, because you think like me. Social workers aren't made to be educated in psychology, etc. That's funny that you say that, because it's true. Social workers are stupid. I honestly don't know how they passed high school. I think they barely graduated high school, to be honest with you. I believe most of them ditched in their lives. They're stupid on so many levels. The federal level, I mean, it's like the federal level sees the corruption and they don't do anything about it. Like a 21-year-old has power over your family. Like, what the hell? A 21-year-old has power over your family that probably barely graduated high school. And they say they study psychology, or they can, it's weird. It's like they see a mother cry and they say she needs psychiatric help because the mother cried when you stole her children, you pieces of shit. Example. And I said that on my show several times. They need psychiatric help. Something is wrong with them. They're like possessed by Satan himself. You have to be possessed by darkness in order for you to do what you do. You cannot have light in you. and get a joy of a child crying, or a mother's tears, or a father's tears, or a grandparent's tears. You can't. You can't be human. And I'm going to say it over and over again. You can't be human. Like I said on my show earlier today, I used to be a Democrat. I found out so much shit that's going on. I did my research. And now I'm independent. I will vote for a Republican if I feel that Republican is a good fit. I will vote for a Democrat if I feel that Democrat is a good fit. But I'll be damned if I will vote for a party because I am a Democrat, or I would vote for a party because I'm a Republican. This is the reason why our country's so screwed up. It's screwed up. It's all about Democrats and Republicans. We're divided. What the hell? And you guys want to change? Stop voting for a party because you belong to that party. Vote for the right running president. You vote for the right person. You do research on that person. You vote for the right person. And that really ills me when people say that to me. Well, I voted today because she's a woman. Or I voted because he's a Democrat. It doesn't matter if they're a woman, a monkey, a donkey, a cow. Vote for the right party that's willing to fight for people's rights, to protect the innocent. I had a friend of mine that said last year, I'm going to vote for this judge because she's a woman. A woman? What does that mean? Then what's her background? Well, I don't know. She's a woman. Or I'm going to vote for him because he's Italian. Or I'm going to vote for him because he's this or that. That's so ridiculous. And most people don't know what the hell they're voting for or who they're voting for. Amen to that. God's child said, Miss G, that's exactly why I didn't get into social work. I was raised by the system. It's a broken system. Amen to that, baby. Because it's the God honest truth. It's the God honest truth. This system is all the work of Satan. I see all the entities of CPS as Satan's playground. They're like puppets. And Satan is holding the string, and he's moving them any way that he wants. That's their puppet. That's Satan's puppet. Because like I said, you have to be dark inside to do what they do. You have to. Jim said, I have been fighting in Texas for 12 years through Angel Eye over Texas. Okay, Jim, you got somebody wants you to send them a message. And also, Jim, I would like for you to text me also on my number. Text me your full name and just give me a chance to give you a call back, please. And any of you that wants to get a hold of me, guys, be mindful that I do have a lot of calls to make a day. And people think that they're the only ones that I call, and it's not true. So if I call you and you don't pick up the phone, I have to move on to the next call. And sometimes I take, sometimes calls can take up to from 20 minutes to 45 minutes to an hour, depending on the intensity of the call. So just be patient and just wait for my call, please. I'm begging you. Brent said, they sacrifice the kids and use their power to keep things moving around. That is correct. Brent, you and I spoke about this, I think yesterday, if I'm not mistaken. CPS moves us like puppets. And when you have an entity that is nothing but darkness, you're not going to see results, good results, obviously. You're going to see the opposite of light. because you're going to see darkness. And they use children, right, to break the parent. The closest thing to a mother is her child, because that child's DNA stays in us for the rest of our lives. The day we die, right, that's we take that DNA with us. So when you steal a child from their mom, it's like you're stealing her heart, her soul, her ability to live, her ability to function. Because the mother is still wondering what happened. How can her soul not be here? How can her heart be disconnected from her body? And those scumbags put the children in a sex offender home. True, this is true. Into an abusive home, but yet they take them from the good home. You have to be dark inside to do that. You have to be. No way. There's no one else can tell me otherwise. No one. The devil is a puppet master. This is what I always say. Thanks for being transparent and telling it like it is. It is so evil it's surreal that it's really happening. We're labeled crazy. That is correct, baby. We are labeled crazy. You're labeled crazy if you cry for your child. You're labeled crazy if you take your child to the hospital. What the fudge? Why do we have hospitals? Why do we have doctors? If we're going to have our kids stolen from us because we did the right thing, then why in the fudge do we have it? For what? What are they going to do next? If we take our senior citizen mom, our elderly mom to the hospital, are we neglected our mother? A senior citizen, an elderly person, what are they going to do next? I'm waiting for that. I'm really waiting for that. It's like I feel like this is the upcoming thing now. That's going to be. They want to make money from every which way possible. And they will do it by stealing children. That's the sad part. That's the sad part. They drug my kids with NyQuil, and I know they are being sexually attacked. Oh, Brent. That's part of the problem. These caseworkers were not appointed by the people. Nope. No, they're not appointed by the people. They're scumbags. Social workers are worse than a poop. A piece of shit on the ground has more value than one social worker. I'm being honest with you guys. A social worker has no values at all. Their background is nothing but, I really honestly believe that they had such a rough background that they're taking it out on mothers, on parents. And I believe that they don't just become social workers to help. It's impossible. There is absolutely no way that somebody can tell me I want to be a social worker to make a difference. You're lying. Because once you enter that door, you're literally walking into the devil's den. Jim said Texas just made extensive changes towards changing CPS that went into effect September 1st. Elaborate a little bit more, Jim. I'm not sure if that's the article that I read. Was it Texas or somewhere else? I can't remember. But I believe there was one state that is going to defund CPS or take it out. I'm not sure if that's Texas or not, but please let me know if that's the one that I read. I barely just glanced to it earlier today and I can't remember. But if they defund CPS and all over the state, that'd be great. Or eliminate them, period. Honestly, they should have like one for orphanage children, and even if the abusive, it's weird. It's like they say that the father is abusive or the mother is abusive, but yet you take the children to an abusive home. So what's the difference? Give the child to a family member, work on the mom and the dad. Why would you spend all the money fostering the child? Well, you could spend it on helping the parent. If the mother is homeless and the father is homeless because they lost their job, why don't you help them find an apartment? That doesn't mean they're bad parents. That means life happens. Everybody goes through tough times in their lives. Everyone. Not the rich, but you know what I mean. So it's kind of like, why would you go out of your way to steal the children from them and have them get a job and for them to pay child support for children they don't even see? It's so messed up. We pay taxes for you, the government, the county, so you can steal the children, and then we pay you child support on top of that? How is that even logical? How? It doesn't make any sense, does it? Okay, Jim, why don't you text me, sweetheart, and let me know what you're talking about. Like I said, I'm really interested in knowing what you're saying. And all of you guys, again, Bren, you have my cell already. You spoke to me. You know how to get a hold of me. Sheena, you have my information. Amy, you too. So get a hold of me, you guys. Text me if you have any questions. But please, again, put your name down on the text message only, and I will save it, and then I will call you back. All right? But if you try to call me, I cannot answer because most likely I am on the phone. Amy, you did send me a text message. I see it right now. Voila. I got you, baby. I will give you a call. All right, guys. So my show came to an end. You're very welcome, Amy. Let's see. Texas just came off the 2-year delay in implementing the Family First Prevention Services Act effective October 1st. Interesting. Jim, I would really love to speak with you, love. Go ahead and text me your full name, and I will definitely give you a call. Before I go, I'm going to read the last one. God's child. A big problem is families can't afford to sue the workers. I would rather you guys focus on getting your children back than sue the fudge out of them after. The main focus is the children. If you put your focus on suing the social workers, they shouldn't be important. You should be focused on the children. The social workers distract you and push your buttons and bully you because they want to distract you away from what's important. And then you become so angry to the point where you want to sue them. First, get your children back. Then the rest will follow. That's the only advice I can give you. Yes, Christina, I actually did. Let me see. Yep, I sure did. I got it. I'm going to save it after the show ends. I'm going to save it to my phone, and I will text you guys back, and I will definitely give you guys a call. Or maybe we can, maybe you guys can text me tomorrow as well. And just when you're ready to speak with me, just text me to say, Georgette, I'm ready to speak. And right after I end my call with a client or what have you, then I would definitely give you a call back. But like I said, just be patient, you guys, because there's so many calls that comes in. And I'll be happy to give you a call back. All right, guys. I love you all. God bless you. And be strong and don't stop praying. Really, don't stop. And I will see you guys again next week. Next year. There we go. Next year. I will see you guys next year. You're welcome, Bren. Anytime, baby. Gina, what number do I text? Grace, if you hear me, baby, can you post my information again? There you go. All right, guys, I'm going to have to now say goodbye and good night, and I will see you guys next year. And God bless you all. Be safe and never stop the fight, and don't lose hope and don't lose faith. You need to be strong. All right? Good night, everyone.